Right, welcome back to the 8th episode of Guest of the Month. I'm joined by Paul Moden from Lord's Travel, who's very well known in Cambridge area after his success in the private hire and now contract work. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get back to basics. How did you get to where you are today, and what do you think is the secret to running and growing your own business?
Got to where I am today. I started in 2013, took a CPC manager's course. Then with a little bit of savings and bank loans from Barclays, I went off and bought my first bus from Cruises in Red Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a steady progression. We've now got 10 vehicles, and I don't know if I want any more. Sometimes you think that it'd be a good idea, and other times, especially like with the fuel shortage we've got going on at the minute, it's probably not a great idea. But we shall see.
Yeah. And how and when did you get to know EVM on your journey?
It wasn't so much on the internet like it is now. It was much more. Your magazines would come out, and I always saw your EVM adverts, and I think for me, they was always the best looking minibus.
And is there anything particular that stood out for you?
Main thing that stood out for me was the styling of them. I've always liked Mercedes ever since I was a child. From I think I went to the Formula 1 in '97 with my father, and at the time Mika Hakkinen was in the Western McLaren Mercedes, and I've always been a massive Mercedes fan, and especially with the AMG styling, which I've always thought that EVM have always, like with your body kits and especially in the grey, I love them in the grey, but I always think that EVM add the AMG styling to the vehicle.
Yeah, I think there's a whole range of options, and I think you've mentioned a few of them, like the interior styling, the panoramic glazing, or the roof, glass roof.
Yeah.
So over the last couple of years, I know that you've taken 5 EVM vehicles from us. Can you tell me what your favourite feature is on an EVM product?
I think the most important thing for me with EVM is you do get the looks and the styling, but I've always come back to you mainly for once you've had the product and you know how good it is. I've always come back to you for the customer service. I know most of the guys in the who you work with, Guy, Ian, Matt, Dave. I've met Danny, and there's another chap in your office which I can't quite remember what his name is. Peter, Peter.
Yeah, Peter. Yeah.
I know most of the guys, so it's nice to see, nice to know the company that you're dealing with. Yeah, so for me, it's definitely the customer service over any feature on the vehicle, because as soon as the vehicle's off the road for any reason, which might not be the vehicle's fault, it could be something had been broken by one of your passengers. Within usually 48 hours, the vehicle would be back on the road. And there's times where I've ordered parts that in the morning, and the following morning they've turned up. So for me, it's definitely customer service.
From working alongside others and building business relationships, is there anyone that is your role model or who you look up to?
Yes, I have a few within the industry. Obviously, my father, he'd be a big role model for me. He's the reason which I got into transport in the first place. So I'm not sure whether I should thank him or not, but he'd certainly be a role model. I have a lot of time and respect for Richard Gray over at Gray's Vearley. I think what he's done with their business is quite astonishing, really. it's good to be working alongside him.
Mhm.
And then someone else who I've also got a lot of respect for is, and the role model of mine is Dan from Dan's Coach Eye. What he's done in the short amount of time that he's been operating is really good as well. So it's good to have some younger blood in the industry.
Yeah, definitely, and like-minded people, I think, as well, to bounce off each other.
Yeah.
Have you ever received a bit of advice that has inspired you and that you live by today?
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to race in karts, and the chap that we used to buy our chassis from, they were good, solid karts, but they weren't ever they never really sold too well, and they never sold as well as your big branded karts. And he always used to say back then that image is key, and in order to be successful, you have to have a brand, and that's something which I think really is true, even in the business that we're in. It's such a different business from go-karts effectively. But yeah, it's something which is still relevant in our sector.
Do you have a quote that's a favourite of yours?
Yeah, this is a quote that my dad always said, and he would love this. He would love this bit going in. It's you only get one chance to make a good first impression, which is, again, going back to the image, is very, very true.
Along the way, and learning and growing and developing Lord's Travel, what message would you tell your younger self now that you think would be valuable?
Not to give up. I think it's very, very. There's times along the way where you think is it all worth it? But once you go through the struggles and you progress to your next level, I think that would be my main bit of advice to give a younger me, would be just stick at it. It gets easier.
Yeah, I think everyone will have to overcome challenges, but like you say, once you get through that or over that.
I think that as you when you first start out, for me, I always looked at the bigger companies and think, and always was under the impression that they had it that much easier. But I think as you get bigger and more established, certain aspects of your business get easier, but you tend to face harder challenges. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily any easier now. We're certainly more established than what we were 8 years ago, but the challenges are very, very different.
What keeps you driven?
The buzz to keep going. I love the idea of seeing where we are going to be in 10 years' time, should things keep going on this trajectory. I think that certainly the last couple of years would have had a bit of an impact, but just the buzz to keep going and seeing where we can get to.
Yeah, and I guess as well, enjoying what you like doing is a massive factor too.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I'm lucky in that sense that I love what I do. Doesn't really feel like work sometimes. It does have its moments, but I do feel what I do, so I'm very fortunate in that fact.
And what are you reading or listening to? Are you into podcasts, music, books?
Music, I'm a bit of a Spotify fan, so I don't tend to listen to one particular type of artist. I have a whole host of general different types of music I listen to. The song which I'm listening to, well, one of my favourites at the moment, is South, In Hell I'll Be Good Company, which has got a very, very good video on YouTube. And books, I started reading a book in 2019, which was 12 Rules for Life by Jordan B. Peterson. And I've got about 2 chapters in so far, so I'm probably going to get that on Audible instead.
I was going to say, you'll have to let us all know what the 12 rules of life are at the end once you've
I know what 2 of them are. Well, I've read what 2 of them are. I can't remember what they were.
19 was a long time.
Yeah.
Have you got any new contracts coming up?
We've just started a new contract for Suffolk. So we're a Cambridgeshire based operator, and we've just started doing some work for Suffolk. So that's for us. That's another exciting project for us. It's a 6-year term, that's how we've managed to go and buy our last vehicle from you guys. So we bought a Trend, which we've put onto a contract. So it's quite good, you know. A 6-year contract means that we can go out and buy a brand new vehicle, and just not wear it up on the contract, but we'll still have a decent vehicle in 6 years' time.
Yeah, no, definitely. And have you got any exciting plans for next year coming up that maybe you could mention or discuss for Lord's Travel?
For us at Lord's Travel, we have got next year, the big year for us contract-wise. We've got probably 90% of our work is up for retender next year. So it's interesting. We've got very, very nervous time ahead. We've got that. For us would probably be our biggest, most exciting thing. I really, really enjoy that time of retendering and going out and buying new vehicles and seeing what's out there. Over
the years, we've worked together, EVM and yourselves, on vehicles for you and helped with contracts. Do you have any advice for new or existing EVM customers?
Yeah, I think for anyone who really knows the EVM product, a bit of advice I would give them would be to the vehicle which we've just bought, which is the Trend, would be to consider one of them for contracts. When our Suffolk, when we won the Suffolk contract and we knew that we needed a new vehicle to last 6 years, and I didn't want to get myself in a position where 3 years down the line we had to go and buy something else. I wanted a vehicle which would comfortably do the duration of the contract. With the Trend it's the lighter chassis than a lot of the other vehicles which you offer, because usually you do yours on the 5-ton chassis.
Yeah.
This is on the 4-ton chassis, so it's more economical. The EVM feel and touch of class to it, but it is still it's still a Mercedes, and it hasn't got the sliding door. It's got a small amount of luggage space at the back. So you're considering a Ford Transit, also put the Trend into the mix.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you, Paul. Thank you for today, and we look forward to working together in the future at some point.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.